This week, we'll check out the new generation of soccer sims with the help of our star guests from Manchester United and Newcastle, Andy Cole and Lee Clark.
If you prefer fashion to football, we've got a great new package that lets you design style clothes like this. And my review is Worms on the PlayStation.
And Annabelle Lynn gets to star in yet another video game, but will she cope with her first night nerves?
I can't. Because these clothes, including my jacket, were all designed on a computer. And here's how. It was done in a package called Designer. And what makes it particularly useful for fashion is the stored pictures of models very quickly. But I want to compare two models, American model I've chosen, and I've actually guessed, and I've already guessed it now. So now I'm going to guess the thing out. So let's start off with the top. And it's quite an extensive range here. It's sleeves, turtlenecks, all different types. That something with sleeves. Oh, that skinny rim looks quite nice. I'll go for that. Right, so I've got a top there. Now I want to give her some trousers, I think. Again, a pretty good range. Oh, there you go. So again, just fit them on the model. Now I want my skinny rib to go over my trousers rather than under, because just that's the way I feel they should be worn. So I can just change them round, very simply, like so. Now she needs some shoes. Back into the options list. A whole host of different shoes to choose from. Those look quite nice. I'll put those on. Now you can also personalise these outfits to get them exactly the way you want by picking up the contours on each line and just changing them. So, for instance, if I wanted to change the collar on this T-shirt, I just need to enlarge the area and then move in these contours to whatever I want. Now, I want to make the neckline a little closer there, just change the shape a little, like that. Now, you can also colour these clothes any colour you want to, going to the paint palette. So, for instance, I want to make my top red. Just a matter of clicking on red. And also I want to give it a bit of body, really, just to give more idea of what it's going to look like on a real model. So it's just a matter of changing it there. I still want the top to be red, so there, it's red with a bit of extra body. You can also change the texture of your material if you wanted to, and if you're a designer, you can scan in your own material just to give you an idea of what it would look like on your model. So, for instance, I want to change these trousers and make them sort of, you know, warmer and woollier, more for winter. Now, obviously, I've just done this very quickly because I'm just demonstrating the system, but designers at Leeds College of Art and Design have been using this as part of their course, and here are some of their results. Rebecca is wearing a luxurious cashmere trouser suit from the Winter Camouflage range by Mahmood Khan. It's inspired by wild winter birds' plumage and it's accessorised with a matching cashmere hat. Clayton is wearing a full-length felted wool coat from the Barron Landscape range. It features heavily textured fabrics, leather-look detailing and handmade soldered buttons.
Oh, my outfit, designed on a Game Boy. Our main review this week is Worms on the PlayStation. You control a platoon of 4 worms, and your mission is to wipe out up to 3 enemy platoons. But it's more a puzzle game than a shoot-'em-up, and your team needs to make good use of their digging and building skills to emerge victorious. Worms also wriggles its way onto the Amiga and PC this week, and it's soon to be released on the Mega Drive. Here's Sahel with the PlayStation version.
I thought this was going to be another boring Lemmings clone, but I was pleasantly surprised. Worms is one of the most addictive games in years, especially in 2-player mode. The playing area in the game is different every time. You can give your worms names as well. I've called mine Andy, Sahel, Violet and Sonia, and we're playing against Take This, who are one of the better teams in the game. There's a huge variety of weapons, but the main challenge is choosing the right one for the right situation. You can also play defensively sometimes by digging into the ground and hiding, or by using the girders to build defences. I thought 3 of the most useful facilities were teleporting, because it allows you to put your worms in better positions than they are originally, airstrikes, which you can access at any time and cover a wide area, especially if there's a cluster of enemy worms, and the homing missiles, which centre in on your enemies. However, you have to allow for the wind, otherwise they just blow back. This is a stonking game that should be on everyone's Christmas list. It really is a classic.
It's a game you have to practice, but once you've sussed it out, it's brilliant.
This is an excellent game and hugely addictive, because it's much more fun playing against a friend than against the machine.
And the scores for Worms, the boys give it an excellent 5, the girls almost as good, 4.
Worms getting well-deserved high scores. Back in the early days of video games, the images you saw were always computer-generated graphics. Until CDs came along, when everything changed, because CDs have got loads of spare memory just hanging around, waiting to be filled with something interesting. The games companies had a brilliant idea. They filled it with video clips. They were often filmed in the company car park and starred anyone who happened to be hanging around the office at the time. For example, at least some of the cool biker women who feature in the end-of-level sequences in Road Rash were plucked from behind desks at Electronic Arts to star in the game.
Nowadays, the video sequences are a lot more sophisticated, often with big-name professional actors. But video sequences still come in for a lot of criticism from games players because they can mean long, boring stories and nothing much in the way of gameplay. But in America, where they have the world's biggest movie industry, they still believe there's a future for film sequences in games, and they even have room for the odd, enthusiastic amateur actor, as Violet Berlin found out when she visited the studios of the Californian games company Sierra.
This studio was purpose-built to shoot video sequences for computer games. And today, the team from Sierra are working on Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within. It's very different from the first Gabriel Knight adventure, which was just computer graphics. Now, Gabriel Knight has come to life, played by actor Dean Erickson. So, what's it like taking on the role of a graphic hero?
It's nice to be a hero any way I can get it, so graphics or otherwise.
Gabriel is a shadow hunter, a sort of gothic X-Files special agent, and he's been asked to investigate a series of mysterious murders in a Bavarian village. The police believe the victims were attacked by a pack of wolves, which have escaped from the local zoo. But as you enter the world of the shadow hunters, you quickly realise that things aren't quite what they seem. Some of the video sequences were shot on location and then mixed with graphics. For other sequences, the actors were shot against blue screens in the studio, and then photographs of real locations were used to produce the backdrops. There's no doubt that using video footage makes a difference to how the game looks. If you spend money on actors, sets and costumes, then you can add a level of reality which you don't get with computer-generated graphics. But how does it help the gameplay? Jane Jensen is the creator of Gabriel Knight. She used to be a writer, but now the stories she dreams up are turned into video games.
You're really trying to tell a good story. You need to show emotions, and particularly with the mystery, sometimes characters may be lying to you, and it's kind of hard to get that across with a little animated character. So a live actor can show a lot more emotion.
Lord, amuse me, Knight.
Another big US company, San Francisco-based Rocket Science, are also well known for putting real action into their games. Their latest title, Wingnuts, is a World War I flying shoot-'em-up. But does the video slow down the gameplay?
In using the video, we knew that was traditionally a problem, and we wanted to keep this game as fast and seamless as possible, just so it was just full of action-packed gameplay the whole way through.
Come on, Goomba! You're gonna do it!
The graphic game screen runs on top of the filmed flight sequences as you bomb and strafe the enemy planes. What the game's producers have learned is if you're going to use film sequences, you have to make sure they look professional. For the Gabriel Knight shoot, they even hired in costumes from Hollywood.
Welcome! This costume's from the blockbuster Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It was actually worn by the Bloodsucker himself, and I know that because it says so in the label. And guess who wore this one? Keanu Reeves.
Well, by now I was totally starstruck.
So, eat your heart out, Andy and Sonia. Violet hits the big time. OK, I know it's not exactly Princess Leia, but you've got to start somewhere.
I've only got a tiny walk-on part, and I don't think my character is going to give you much help solving the puzzle.
Excuse me, can you tell me what the way to the red...
Oh, I can't act, I can't act.
Excuse me, do you know where the residence is?
Something was definitely making me nervous. Maybe it was Dean's square jaw and blue eyes.
Excuse me, do you have the right time, please?
Well, I could make the time for you.
Yeah?
Don't worry.
Brits.
Yanks. We reckon that's the 4th video game Violet Berlin's been featured in. Perhaps the Guinness Book of Records should start a new category.
But now it's time for this week's news and previews.
Take a look at this. It's a graphics demo for the top-secret new super console, the Ultra 64, and this is the first time it's been shown on British television. The Ultra 64 will be available here next year, so this is just to whet your appetite. The console will be launched in Japan in a couple of weeks, and we'll be in Tokyo to give you a full report on the console and the games. If the gameplay is as good as the graphics, it should be well worth the wait.
You may have made millions in theme park and built a complex sim city, but do you have what it takes to run a theme hospital? This is a very early version with no sound. The game will start you off with a small clinic, which you must expand into a busy hospital. Theme Hospital is due out on PC CD-ROM early next year.
Out soon is the sequel to the best-selling CD-ROM game ever. Rebel Assault 2 puts you again in the moon boots of an eager young space cadet fighting in the endless war against the evil Empire. The game features graphic models so realistic that there is talk of them being used in the next Star Wars movie. Rebel Assault 2 will be out in December.
And now for some more of this week's releases reviewed by our expert panel.